On After Dark, baby.
Don't do it.
Yemi Bakayoko. Oh, yeah. Samina Mina. Edward Mende. Samina Mina Sam Sadate. He comes from Senegal.
And I think going out and get Saul was the top transfer of the market for Chelsea.
Chesney could have been in the shower smoking a cigarette like he was at Arsenal, and we still would not have scored.
My rants have been fueled by Scott. Don't get it twisted.
Big Rom. Man, fuck you.
In Roman we trust, right?
You and me are going to have a battle royale about Jorginho and diving. Just one side point before we get into all the things that we have slotted here. Yes. I'm loving Leeds being in the relegation zone because just
I feel like I'm going to be the voice of reason, which does not happen often. That's what we've been trained to do as Chelsea fans. As soon as a manager starts failing, we switch managers. We sack a manager, regardless. This has been the norm for 10 years. We've been, whether we like it or not, we've been trained to, as soon as somebody fails, no, somebody new, bring them in. That's the way that it's always been. That has been the quote-unquote Chelsea way. I think that right now, under Bowley and Clearwater, whatever the investment group is, it's not that way. Like, you're given a runway. And I think that everybody is so trained to think that, well, they're going to be sacked after, a year, 6 months, 18 months. Like, Chelsea fans are just kind of built that way based on what we've seen in the past. I can't fault them for it because, again, that's pretty much all we know. It's going to take some adjusting to understand that, okay, everything is new. Like, this isn't Roman. It's going to take a little bit of time. Like, we need to adjust to what we're going to try and do going forward. And that just hasn't been the case in the past. I think that's where we're at. Like, everybody's built that way, and we've been forced to be built that way because that's all we know.
And only time is going to tell what the Bowley regime does. I mean, they've said one thing, which is all we have to go on because we have no past performance to sort of grade. But who knows? I mean, if you're looking down the road and it's 2 years into this experiment and we haven't won anything, and like, we don't win the Premier League, we don't win the Champions League, don't win the FA Cup, don't win anything, right? Then he might not be as jolly of a kind of guy as we know him to be. He's a businessman, he's a manager, and he wants to win. I mean, that's the reason why people buy clubs, is they want to win. So we'll see what happens. I don't know what kind of a runway we're going to look at. And I don't know what's sort of like the good enough metric. We talked about this last season on the pod of just like, what's a successful year for Tuchel? And we kind of laid out scenarios of top four and, this in the FA Cup and this in this competition, whatever. I don't know what Potter's going to achieve, and I don't know what's going to be like sort of deemed that success. It's a really interesting question, especially considering he'll have one window to kind of, implement his personnel, which will probably be maybe one or two people at best in January. And then it's just going to be how well can he manage the team?
So for reference, Pep has been the manager of Man City since 2016. They are always the odds-on favorite to win the Premier League. You need time. Like, you need time to develop the squad that you have. Jurgen Klopp, I think he was there at Liverpool for what, 2015?
7 years.
Yeah. So he's been there since 2015. Like, and they are, I mean, up until this year with Liverpool, we would consider them as staples, top 1 and 2, and teams that we are trying to chase. But their managers have had time to do what they need to do. And Chelsea has not been allotted that time with their managers. Give somebody a shot. Let them see what they can do with their own transfer windows. Let them build the team that they want based on who's available. Like, I mean, we even talked about this last year. Like, Luis Diaz in the January window for Liverpool, that was a hell of a signing. Like, he came in and just tore shit up. But again, Jurgen Klopp had been in that position for 6 years. He knew the team that he wanted to build. Like, you have to give a manager some time. I'm not saying that you have to give Graham Potter 6 years, but you have to give them a chance to implement what they want to do. And Chelsea does not have a track record of doing that. It's always bring in a manager who can deal with other people's teams and players that they have assigned.
The only problem is Pep came in the 16 year, City took third, and then the 17-18 year they won it, and then the 18-19 year they won it again. So Pep inherited a pretty damn good team as well. Like,
right, which he was also at Bayern for a while, and they won, and then he was at Barcelona, they won, and then he went to Man City. Like,
but City was good when he got there.
And so was Bayern when he got there, and so was Barca when he got there.
Right.
Like,
but the thing is, Man City has been good for a long time. So yes, they've had the talent. He's been able to manage it, but it's a difference between your, certain managers can handle different personalities. I think we all know that. We are very in tune to what's going on at Man U. But Pep has been able to handle mentalities and egos for a long time. If you look at the teams that he was able to manage and able to win with, managers like that are very rare. Like, we're not going to go out and, sign Pep. Like there's just no way. I think he's had, at least with Man City, he's had time to develop who he needs, who he knows is probably dead weight. Get rid of him. Like, he's had time to do that, and he's still producing a very, very good squad. I think Chelsea needs something like that. Give a manager a shot. I would say give him 3 years. If after 3 years it doesn't work, fine. Tuchel had what, 18 months. And he won trophies and everything like that, but it still wasn't enough. Give a manager a 3-year, see what happens, let him build his own squad, and then go from there. And I think that's something that we're not used to.
But Tuchel didn't have a chance to build his own squad at all.
So
He didn't. Like he did, and then he got sacked like 6 weeks later.
Well, fair, but
he didn't have that chance. He didn't have that.
Can I split the difference with you guys? Because I think I figured out the middle ground here. It comes down to having a good director of football. Pep inherited good teams. Klopp has just been there for like, these guys are the exception to the rule. You look at who else like the longest tenured managers in the Premier League. It's Thomas Frank, it's Brendan Rodgers, and Hassan Hoodle. All of those teams have regressed under those managers, except maybe Thomas Frank at Brentford. But you look at Klopp, you look at Pep. They have great directors of football. They have guys who identify talent correctly. They have an eye for potential. They have an eye for what is trying to be run here. So Michael Edwards at Liverpool was with Klopp. That's who we're looking at bringing in. And then Man City have probably one of the best directors of football in all of football in Siki. I can't pronounce his name. Siki Bergestein, something like that. But he was the one who built up Barcelona. And then he comes to City and he builds up City before Pep got there. Like the managers are not a horse piece. Managers are a dime a dozen. Getting my analogies all messed up there.
Dime a piece.
Yeah.
They're worth a nickel.
Managers ain't worth shit. A good director of football, though, will set you up for success. And we had Marina doing that.
And I mean, Marina is a little bit of a touchy subject because there were a lot of pros and a lot of cons. So it's kind of a hard one to try and split hairs on. Like the stuff that she nailed, yeah, perfect. Flops, yeah, it's kind of hard to avoid that. Like, but you equal them out, I think she was more in the positive than she was the negative.
So to wrap up this topic in whole, is 8 games too soon to be calling for Graham Potter to be sacked?
Yeah.
I think we all agree on that.
Perfect.
But I have one quick, maybe not so quick, but it's a question, and I actually don't know where I stand on this. So it is a truly open-ended question, because the only team I've seen kind of take a different stance on this and have had a little bit of success right now is Arsenal, because Arsenal switched managers in the 1920 season to Arteta. They finished 8th that year. The 2021 season, they finished 8th again. So now we're 18 months into this thing and they're still 8th. They finished 2021 season in 5th. And now they look like they've got a shot to, crack top 4, who knows from there. But, they've kind of built from the ground up, but they had to be in 8th and 5th to kind of get there, right? Like it wasn't overnight. They didn't, it wasn't a quick trigger. They had to kind of build it up. So do you take that? Do you want to be there for a shot to compete for the title? And it's too early to say with Arsenal if it's worked or not, because if they end up taking 4th, I don't think it's worth it. But if they end up winning this year, I think it's worth it. I know that's a really big split difference, but if they end up winning it this year, like it's really going to be hard to argue against that kind of a mentality.
So I'll start. First response, I don't want to be Arsenal. Just based on pride alone. Fuck Arsenal. But it is a fair point. Like it's a very weird dynamic because Mikel Arteta was an Arsenal guy, right? He was, I wouldn't call him a club legend, but he was a mainstay at Arsenal for quite a while. He's come back, and it's hard to replace somebody like Arsene Wenger. It's very difficult. It's kind of like Man United trying to replace, Sir Alex Ferguson. You can't, right? You just can't. I think that with time, Arsenal has gotten themselves into a better position than they would be otherwise. Granted, if you look at Arsenal in, the 1920 season, not a great team. The fact that they took 8th, I think, is probably close to a miracle. Like, they were not that great. They had 2 good, prolific strikers with Aubameyang and Lacazette, who were playing very well at the time. That was about it. Like, Odegaard right now, he's playing ridiculous football. He's playing really well. Xhaka, he's playing better than he has been in previous seasons. He's doing a lot better. But at the time, you had El Neni as like your starting center mid, and who was the other one? Gondesi?
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah. Pokwa also, who was a fucking douchebag, by the way. I think he's playing in France now. But like, it wasn't a solid team. I think Per Mertesacker was still back there hobbling along. Like, it was not a great team.
So that's the team he inherited, and the point being,
right,
he took that team to where they are now, which is a team that looks and feels completely different.
Right, with obviously a lot of transfers and everything. Like, he had time to build all of that,
of course.
And I mean, that's kind of my point. Like, give somebody some time. The only problem is the Chelsea fan base, based on what we've known for 20 odd years, you don't have that kind of time. Like, you need to do it now. And like, who would be a manager that could come in right away and change things over immediately? Who could inherit a team and switch everything over right away?
Zidane.
He inherited a great team.
Sorry. What says you?
We are not a great team.
The part of me agrees with you, Parker, that like Arsenal, or not agrees because you haven't really made your point known, but Arsenal's one to look at. It's an interesting case. I don't think Arteta's a great manager. Tactically, the games I've watched, like, he's not anything better than what I've seen out of Graham Potter. But I think this one comes back again to director of football. It comes back to the money. It comes back to how you build a team. Arsenal's new stadium that they built 20 years ago now is now almost finally paid off. They paid $350 million in payments in 2020, 2021. So at the beginning of the Arteta era, they were, for the most part, I believe, just about breaking even in terms of transfers, sales and purchases. This year is fucking ridiculous. They, let's see, spent 145 million pounds, sold 26. And they brought in class players: Gabriel Jesus, Fabio Vieira, Zinchenko. Matt Turner has been pretty decent for them when he's appeared. I don't know. Part of it's money, I think, but like I said, I think managers are kind of dime a dozen. I don't know how much Arteta plays into that. I mean, there were calls of him 2 years ago having lost the locker room.
And that's kind of where, Matt, you said the Chelsea fans, wouldn't allow it because we would call for the heads. Arsenal Twitter was doing the same thing. They were calling for it as well. Everyone there didn't want them, lost the locker room, 8th place, didn't do anything, didn't improve the position year on year. So I guess the argument, the point is he got time and you see what can happen with it. And it just makes me go back to Tuchel because I wish he had really a fair shake of bringing people in that fit his system. I don't think he ever got that.
So I think the two scenarios that you look at in terms of giving time, I think Klopp and Pep are on their own. Like they're the weird ones. You look at Arteta, because the argument can be made, like he had time, he could build his team, whatever. And Brendan Rodgers, he had time, he could build his team. Leicester is scraping for relegation right now. He has bloated that team so much that they suck. Arteta has gone from mid-table to leading the league at the time of recording here. So I don't know if you can, I don't know in the Premier League if you can go one way or the other. I think it's a mixed bag.
To be fair, did anybody see Yuri Teleman's goal today?
No.
Collins, you know how big of a fan I am of Yuri.
Who's that?
Yeah. Oh, it's gold. Half volley spinner outside the box. Top ends. Beautiful goal. And I was saying, if we can get him, he's definitely a guy I want.
All right. Sorry. Cristiano Ronaldo. Go.
Yes.
You go. You're the one that wants him.
Stay the fuck away from my club.
First of all, take a drink of some Mobtoberfest before we get this conversation started.
Oh boy.
I still have some bad shit crazy.
Mobcraft makes a great beer.
Because I feel like that's how your take is going to be. Batshit crazy.
Hey, you want what, listener? If you're ever in Milwaukee, go to Mobcraft Brewing. Tell them Flag Stays Down sent you. Get some batshit crazy. Get some Mobtoberfest. And then let's talk Ronaldo. I would not mind Ronaldo. I'm going to put the stipulation on it that it would have to be a 1-year deal with a 1-year option. Or I guess if we sign him in January, a 2-year deal with no option. A short deal is what I'm here for. Number one, no one on our team can fucking shoot the ball. No one can put a shot on target. We don't, when Reece James, when he's healthy, puts a ball into the box, we have no one there who can do anything with it. How about that great over the top ball today or yesterday? God, who can't remember who did it. Aubameyang botches the hell out of it. Pulisic, thank you. You know who puts that away? Cristiano Ronaldo. You know who's done that for the last, I don't know, 20 years? Cristiano Ronaldo. He's not perfect. I'll give you that. He is, when he's not happy, he will kill a locker room. I understand that. That's why I want a short-term deal where you can cut your losses real quick. But he will put away these goals that our attackers are missing, and it's guaranteed. There's no questions around Ronaldo finishing. And as a side point, and this doesn't really apply to anyone else but me, my son has started playing FIFA as Manchester United because he likes Cristiano Ronaldo. And so to bring him back to the fold, bring my son back to the fold, who is also an official MKE Blues member, get me Ronaldo.
Go ahead, Matt.
No, go ahead. I'm saving mine.
Oh, Ronaldo. In our transitional period of new ownership, new manager, and a team that's figuring out their identity, with a lot of younger players, I do not think a personality in a locker room like him does us any good. He is going to get you some goals, sure, but at what cost? And I feel like he's the type of player that everyone, gets to take a big, deep breath of fresh air once he leaves the club. And I think like the United team is going to do that once he, they don't want to deal with the circus that comes around him. They don't want people to ask him about it every single time. And we just got out of a bad relationship with Romelu Lukaku, some dude that we brought back into the club, big ticket, high expense, and then he's talking in the media about it. And that's one, Sky Italia interview that he did that basically turned the club against him. Ronaldo's the type of dude that he'll talk all the time. He's going to be vocal. He's going to let people know when he's not happy. And that's the kind of guy I have no time for at any cost. I know that he can bring goals. I know he can bring good things to the pitch, but I think it's for the worst for the club. And it's something that I don't want.
Fuck Cristiano Ronaldo. I do not want him at this club. I hate everything that he represents as far as on the pitch. You see him, even watching Man United games, if he doesn't get the ball, he's throwing his hands up like, oh, I would have scored that. No, you would not have. I've seen him squandered so many chances that, fine, he might fit in with the Chelsea attack right now. No, I do not want him here. He is just a high-profile name to sell jerseys. That is it right now. He is an absolute cancer to any locker room. And we talked about this last week or 2 weeks ago. Karim Benzema, Ballon d'Or winner as of this year. And he played with Cristiano Ronaldo for probably 6 years, 7 years, something like that. And it was always between Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. Ronaldo leaves, and then Benzema gets his chance to shine, and he produces. With any Cristiano Ronaldo team, everything has to run through him. Otherwise, he's not happy. No, that is not the way that we are playing at all. Fine. He's going to score a couple goals. so be it. I am not in a position where I will say that Cristiano Ronaldo is a good asset for the club, right? Club over everything. Every single club that he goes to buries it. He buries every single club that he's ever gone to. Man United. You look at even Juve. Watching those games, the ball had to go through him. Everything was targeted through him. No. Sorry, I'm not about that, especially when you're 35, 36 years old. Like, you are not the same player that you were before. If you're 27, fine, you can make an argument for that. You are not that same player. The ball does not have to go through you in order to produce something. I've seen clips of, even in like pregame for Man U, Bruno Fernandes putting in a beautiful goal just from a free kick, and Ronaldo skying it fucking 19 rows up. You're not that guy. Like, he hasn't accepted that yet. Like, he's just not that guy. So no, I do not want him at the club.
It's a myth that he buries clubs. 100%. He left Juve won the league. Left Real Madrid Madrid won the league. Left Manchester United, I haven't looked that one up yet, but
they have not won the league. Just to
Yeah, they have.
be fair.
They won it in 2 years after he left.
Yeah. So he does not burn the club to the ground, as what many think.
In 4 years.
Also, Matt, to your point about, he's not that guy anymore. He's not going to bury these like he used to. The dude is the all-time leading scorer in the Champions League. All time.
That's one league. That is the Champions
The
League.
Champions League is the league. Don't say
He has
it's
2
a
goals this
league.
year.
It's not the fucking Austrian Bundesliga like you like to jerk off to.
He has 2 goals this year.
All-time leading scorer in the
2
Champions.
goals this year. What have you done for me lately? 2 goals.
Yeah, because Ten Hag doesn't like him. He doesn't play him. I'm telling you, he comes to Chelsea, he converts these chances. You're gonna pay a price. I will absolutely admit that. You're gonna pay a price temporarily, but that's why I'm saying short-term deal. Short-term deal, scores you these goals, secures you top 4, because we're not fighting for the league. It's not like he's going to lose us the league. We're not fighting for the Champions League final. He's not losing us that. There is almost no risk to this, but there is reward. We're not going to do worse with him than without him.
I think there's big risk. And I think if you lose the locker room, it can be something that you're not going to see on stat sheets, but you're going to feel the effects of. It has the potential to.
And if you look at the teams that he left, they were all good teams. The
teams Pep managed.
So that almost emphasizes my point. Like, he's not that important.
Yeah, just like Pep's not important.
That's a big difference.
No, it's not. They were both at big teams the whole time.
There's
no
bigger
difference.
One's the manager, one's the player. So I think it's a somewhat big difference. Like, I just.
So what do you prefer? A striker from a lower team A forward from a team that hasn't played in the Champions League? Like what do you want?
Erling Haaland.
Okay, you're not going to get him. What do you want?
Not Cristiano Ronaldo.
Okay, what do you want?
I'd rather sign Leao. In Cuckoo.
Leao is going to fail Matt's eye test in 30 seconds of being on the pitch. Lazy motherfucker.
That
not going to
honestly,
be as
that's
detrimental.
probably fair.
Not going to be as detrimental. Way less of a risk. He's not going to lose you the locker room.
Right. And that's the whole thing, right? Chelsea above everything. And he will burn that fucking club to the ground.
Yeah, exactly. 18-month deal.
He doesn't need 18 months. He needs fucking 4 weeks. He doesn't even play for the club that he was renowned at. Like, that was where he fucking made his name.
Matt, it's a honeymoon period. You have him for your 6 months after you sign him in January. Then if issues arise over the summer, you cut him. That's the 18-month deal.
No, but you were talking about a 2-year deal.
Technically 2-year because it's a 2-season. It's 18 months.
If he's lucky,
6 months plus option.
6 month. I will give him a 6 month.
6 month plus option. I would be much more in favor of as an end of the season.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying in our group chat today. I was saying the 1+1. Oops, sorry.
Half plus one.
Yeah, I guess technically it's a half plus one, but
yeah, we're not like fine. If we want to bring him in January and see what happens, fine. However, I do not see Graham Potter bringing in Cristiano Ronaldo at all. And
if Boley says so.
I think where there's smoke, there's fire. I had Tuchel killed this and then Potter killed this, you wouldn't see this rumor. Potter's
and the odds makers don't get this wrong very often. They know something.
How dare you? I don't want to see him in a Chelsea jersey. I really don't.
Either. I won't buy it. That's for damn sure.
I will, but not for myself.
It's for your kid. I get it. The only legitimate reason.
No.
Just give it 6 years, Matt. Give it 6 years. You're going to be in my boat.
I will buy a Jorginho jersey before I even think about buying a Ronaldo Chelsea jersey.
I already bought one for your kid.
There's a bet here. If Ronaldo comes in and scores X amount of goals, Matt has to buy a Jorginho kit. That's the bet.
I'm in.
All right.
Or a Ronaldo jersey.
All right. What's the over under?
Well, I guess what the fair question is, if he doesn't come in, okay, it'll only be valid if he comes in.
Yes.
But
here's this: if he comes in half of the year, January, if he comes in and scores 10 goals, all comps.
Depends what competitions we're in. We're going to be out of the Carabao Cup already.
Yeah, because we play City midweek.
So we've got the FA Cup, one round of the Champions League, I'd probably say. 7. 7.5.
Under.
I would take the over.
All right, so it's 7.5. If he scores under, Matt Collins and I will purchase the jersey of your choice for you. If not, you have to buy yourself a Jorginho jersey.
and wear it on the pod.
Deal. 7.5. Collins, write this in your pod notes.
It's going in the script. Ronaldo.
I have to cheer for
7.5.
him to fucking score. And yeah, it's null and void if he doesn't come, obviously.
He's gonna come in and score 7 just to fuck me.
Yep.
By the way, speaking of Ronaldo,
He's going to score 4. And I'm going to tell you, Collins, personally, to go fuck yourself.
he's gonna score 4, but one of them would be the Champions League winner. So fuck off.
Doesn't matter. It still doesn't meet the 7.5.
By the way, if I have to see this goddamn World Cup commercial with Tom Brady saying, "Well, he's getting kind of old, isn't he?" Like one more time, oh my god, I'm gonna fly to Tampa and punch Tom Brady in the face.
Bet. What's the over under on that?
Yeah, right.
4.5
Over-under
more
mob.
times.
Over under Mobcraft beers until Collins gets on a plane and punches him.